Is PlayStation leaning more into PC? Well, with the latest info about how Ghost of Tsushima will be landing on PC, it kind of seems that way. Some are even speculating that it points to more like maybe they're going to do a PlayStation PC launcher. Maybe they're going to be doing day-and-date releases for their first-party games. While Helldivers 2 did release on PC along with PlayStation Day and Date, that was expected. PlayStation did previously say that they were going to be doing that with their live service games. But what about games like God of War or Spider-Man? Could PlayStation be moving more toward a console and PC release structure? There are well-argued reasons, I think, on both sides of this issue. Creating for one platform certainly creates hardware synergy for the devs, and you get a really, really well-polished and well-optimized game. It helps push demand for your console, and it helps sell the console. But the PC audience is large, and companies are looking for ways to make more money on their projects because they have budgets that just continue to grow. Now, I would love to know what you think about this, okay? Because this video is going to redirect to a live stream. You can check that out. It'll be linked at the very end. It might even be linked below. Now, if you miss the live stream, be sure to sub and hit the bell button so you don't miss out on the live discussions or these uploads. So first, let me just give you the backstory here. PlayStation has had a lot to say about bringing games to PC. Recently, a lot of folks have thought that they were going to be doing something more similar to the direction of what Xbox has done years ago when they moved to doing PC releases of their titles, day and date when they come out. Then, after that, I want to look at what happened. PlayStation released a blog about Ghost of Tsushima on PC, and in it, they announced some brand new features for Ghost that we've not seen before on PlayStation PC ports. Then I'm going to give you my thoughts on this, because I previously predicted that day and date for PlayStation on PC would be likely happening around the time that Spider-Man 3 shows up. So, of course, after I tell you what I think, I'm also going to give you some predictions. You know, what's this going to lead to? Where are we going to end up? Because the features that I'm seeing in the PC port of Ghost of Tsushima certainly look like the beginnings of something. So first, the backstory. PlayStation has been bringing some of their bigger and more well-known titles to PC for a while now, starting with titles like Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone, and more recently, Ratchet & Clank, Returnal, and Horizon Forbidden West just happened, and just around the corner is Ghost of Tsushima. That's one of my favorites, so I hope you enjoy it when you play it on PC. Generally, the dialogue around these PC ports has been largely positive, outside of some issues in Horizon Zero Dawn at launch that have been patched, and the one really bad port of The Last of Us that has also since been fixed. The ports of PlayStation games have gone over rather well, but a consistent dialogue point in the gaming community has been, why would you not just do day and date and make more money? You're selling to a larger audience. Well, Herman Hulse did an interview in late 2022 where he indicated that the earliest we would see PlayStation games coming to PlayStation would be within 12 months of the original release date, and nothing has even come close to that window of time. Okay, I think Horizon Forbidden West is probably the fastest so far, with roughly a 2-year gap between the original release and the PC port release. Now, this was also when we learned that PlayStation would be doing day and date on PC with their live service games. So as early as 2022, we knew from Herman Hulst himself that PlayStation would be doing live service games differently. There was also commentary around this time that those in the know had heard PlayStation did not want to do parallel development, but instead they opted to use a company like Nixxes to port a complete product, rather than sort of tasking your developers to build a game both for the PlayStation console and PC. You equip them to build a great product for just one console, it focuses the development, and then you let the porting company do what they do best. And judging by the reception and the reviews and the breakdowns of the PlayStation ports to PC, I think that approach is working rather well. However, that does not mean they're seeing the level of commercial success that Sony, as the parent company, may want to see. So that gets us to today. So what happened? All right. PlayStation released a blog about Ghost of Tsushima on PC, and the title of the blog is Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut PC Crossplay and System Requirements Revealed. And in it, they wasted no time getting to the new features that would be going to Ghost on PC. They had images showing how it would work, and they also said the following. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is the first PlayStation title on PC that uses a new PlayStation overlay, which includes your friends list, trophies, settings, and your profile. Now, the reason that this got a lot of attention is because of what it's going to let PlayStation account holders do. More from the blog. While playing the game, you can earn PlayStation trophies just like on PlayStation consoles. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut on PC shares the same trophy set as the game on PlayStation 5 consoles. In addition, the PC version also has full support for achievements on Steam and the Epic Games Store. So no worries, you're not just going to be earning PlayStation trophies. If you're a Steam guy or an Epic guy, you're going to be getting them there as well. So this means if you have not yet played Ghost of Tsushima and you played on PC and you have a PlayStation account, you're going to get credit for those trophies on your PlayStation account. Now, they do indicate also how you can take advantage of this feature as well as crossplay. They say the following: to make use of features like trophies, friends list, and crossplay, you can sign in with your existing account for PlayStation Network or create a new account. So Steam users who may not own a PlayStation but wish to play with PlayStation users in the Legends mode, you're going to have to create or sign in to a PlayStation account. Now, I'm also excited to see that much like the Horizon Forbidden West port to PC, this game looks well optimized based on their system recommendations. With my 2080 Ti rig that I know is starting to fall behind, I'm going to be able to land somewhere in the 1440-60 FPS range, which is what I was able to do with the Horizon Forbidden West PC port. Nixxes seemingly has worked their magic once again. So, what are my thoughts about all of this? Why am I talking about this? Like, why are you suggesting that like they're going to lean more into PC because of an overlay? Yeah, I actually think so. On the subject of day and date PC releases, I don't think that's going to happen in the immediate future. I think people are jumping the gun. They're like, yep, PlayStation's going to do the same thing Xbox is doing. I don't see any signs of that. PlayStation first-party studios simply are not set up for that. And if they're trying to combat rising budget costs, pushing your studios into parallel development is not really a solution. It would make the project take longer, and it would subsequently increase the budget. And I know people will respond and say, but they'll make more money. You have to weigh that against the fact that you would then be declining the demand for the PlayStation console if you started doing it right now, because we're just in the middle of the generation. There's also the PS5 Pro on the horizon, and we know from our previous coverage, PlayStation is asking for games to be enhanced for that device. In the midst of that, I don't think they're going to be asking their first-party developers to do more work and to extend the life of the project to do day-and-date releases. PlayStation bought Nixxes for a reason. They're going to keep doing that. Leveraging their talents for a few ports a year seems to be the current strategy. But that does not mean they are not potentially charting a course to handle PC releases differently. Hiroki Totoki made remarks recently about opportunities to make more money expanding into markets like PC. So the recent update about Ghost of Tsushima on PC, it looks to me like they're preparing to do their own PC launcher. Now, I originally thought that was a terrible idea. I'm like, why would you do that? People don't like to install an extra launcher. You're just going to be asking people to take an extra step. But I have actually heard some pretty compelling arguments about how much it would save them not sharing that 30% with Steam on purchases and microtransactions. Let's take Helldivers 2 as an example. Red hot game, right? It's sold incredibly well. It's topping the charts every month. Now, if it was only available in a PC launcher with PlayStation, sure, it might have caused some of the Steam users to say, no way, I'm not doing that. I don't want to install another launcher. But when a game is that hot and it's that in demand, people make exceptions. FOMO, fear of missing out, it's a pretty strong draw, especially when everybody's having a really good time. And all of the people buying Helldivers and spending money in the microtransaction store, they would be giving 100% of their money to PlayStation. PlayStation may also be looking at the popularity of Helldivers and the draw of some of their other IP and thinking, what are we doing sharing 30% with Steam? Horizon and Spider-Man and God of War, these are very big names in the gaming world. Being able to put those in their own store and not sharing revenue with Steam might be more ideal in Sony's mind. So the overlay in Ghost of Tsushima could very likely be prepping for a PC store on PC launcher. This would basically be the beginnings of a shift in strategy for PlayStation. Why else would they be putting this overlay in Ghost of Tsushima so that when you're on PC, you see your profile, you see your trophies, you can play with your friends, and you're using your PlayStation profile to do that. They're essentially creating that bridge between the two platforms, and that very likely could be pointing to a change. That brings me to my predictions. First, if PlayStation is in fact planning to do their own PC launcher, I'm going to kind of talk in the rest of the video, presuming that that's what they're doing, because I think that's very likely. I'm not saying that they're 100% doing it. I'm just kind of reading the tea leaves of a game hitting with an overlay that shows all that PlayStation stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go forward with that assumption. I could see them doing day and date with their games in the future, but only through their launcher. If they're allowing PC users to use their PlayStation profile to get trophies, that could be just step one of moving toward that. We know from the Insomniac leak that Spider-Man 3 was being considered for day and date PC release. That might have been tied to the multiplayer component, okay? Some of the other things we learned from the Insomniac leak, it was clear they were looking to add multiplayer to their game sort of like after the fact, and then Spider-Man 3 was going to be different. It was going to launch with multiplayer day one. Now, to me, that doesn't make Spider-Man 3 a live service game. It would have a multiplayer component or some co-op or something. So the day and date release for that game, that could be representing a strategy shift that is coming. Spider-Man 3 could be one of the first bigger titles, and Insomniac could have been privy to that information. They could have known this is the timeline that PlayStation wants. They want us to be ready. And if you look at their games, you go to Steam, both Nixxes and Insomniac are credited as the developers. I think they worked together. I don't know if it was completely Nixxes or some Insomniac. Maybe Insomniac is getting better at figuring out how to make their games for both platforms. Now, I have argued on my own show and also in other podcasts where I was a guest, I said, listen, I think by the time we get to the PlayStation 6 era, I don't think this would be a risk for PlayStation to do. I don't think you're going to see Spider-Man 3 day and date on PC, and then suddenly people are like, oh, well, I don't need a console anymore, like in droves. I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why I don't think that's a threat to PlayStation's setup. First, people right now are converting to PlayStation. Okay, if you look at the US sales charts, it's clear PlayStation's getting conversion this generation of people who are likely leaving the green side, okay? Beyond them, there's also just the new PlayStation customers, but there's existing PlayStation customers as well. They are all going to spend the next 4 to 5 years building a PlayStation library. I've argued this is one of the reasons that PlayStation is doing remasters and remakes. They want all of their first-party property at that caliber of performance. PS5 Pro likely coming into play here also with the PSSR technology that's going to build a bridge between this generation and the PS6. It's going to give those developers the ability to essentially double performance when we get to that next-gen console, and the mid-gen is going to be the beginning of that bridge. Now, I can't see Spider-Man 3 landing on a PlayStation 6 as well as PC and making somebody say, well, it's time for me to invest a bunch of money into a PC because my PlayStation library is there through the PlayStation launcher, and I'm just going to get Spider-Man 3 over there because it's going there day and date. I can't see large amounts of consumers doing this because that's an expensive shift, and a lot of your library would be getting left behind. I don't think every single piece of your library would be present in this alleged PlayStation launcher. I think it would be built for going forward for those day and date releases to capitalize on that large PC audience and all that money. Even if there were some people that would shift, would PlayStation really be concerned about that? They're still getting your money. They're getting all of your money for the games. They're not splitting the revenue with Steam. And they're also not having to lose money on a hardware sale to you. They're just getting money on the games immediately. Even if a percentage of the PlayStation loyal fan base switched to PC, I don't think it would disrupt the demand for a PlayStation 6. Having an established library of PlayStation titles and the likelihood of the console always being cheaper than a gaming PC, I think it would keep the vast majority of consumers in the console ecosystem. And Sony seems to be thinking about expanding their revenue opportunities, and their games pull. They are popular. With their own launcher, perhaps they're looking into ways to better control piracy as well. And I have to say, if this happens around the time that I think it's going to happen, I may have a much stronger PC. And if I can buy the game from the PlayStation Store and I can play it in either place, I think that's a win for me. However, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. This is where my concern comes into play. Losing that focused hardware synergy that PlayStation first-party devs currently have, that would be the greatest risk in this strategy shift. It's something I've been very critical about with Xbox first-party games as well as multi-plat games. In my estimation, and in my opinion, a very clear pattern in the market can be seen. First-party studios building for one piece of hardware that they have this very clear synergy with, it leads to better games and better quality. Multi-plat games and Xbox first-party games have struggled with optimization and quality. Redfall, Starfield, Forza Motorsport, Jedi Survivor, Dragon's Dogma 2, The Lords of the Fallen, and many other multi-plat releases and Xbox first-party releases have not been nearly as polished as virtually all of the first-party PlayStation games. Rise of the Ronin and Final Fantasy XVI certainly have their issues, but they're not first-party studios, and they're not nearly as bad as some of those titles I just listed. So again, the pattern to me is clear, and if PlayStation moves their studios to day-and-date PC releases, I would really hope that we don't lose that. Hopefully, as one of the Santa Monica devs indicated, porting God of War 2018 to PC helped them change pipelines in God of War Ragnarok's development, and Insomniac seemingly worked alongside Nixxes to bring their games to PC. So if the devs can get to a better place of comfort and still prioritize the PlayStation hardware and the PlayStation architecture, then I have no problem with day-and-date releases. My concern has always been quality. It's why I celebrate when my favorite games come to PC, like Returnal and Ghost of Tsushima, and I was very critical of The Last of Us port because it was so terrible. High-quality releases that make more money, that's good for everybody involved. The developers, the consumers, as well as future projects. So if PlayStation can figure this out and do it in a way that doesn't compromise on quality and it makes the company and the devs more money, then I'm all for it. But that's just what I think. Now it's time to hear what you think. You can do that in a comment below, or you can come to the live stream, and we put a link right here on the card. You can click that, come over to the live stream, and discuss it with me there.